Welcome, welcome. What's up, Annie? Great to see you. What's up, Molly? Was so happy to see that you'd registered. Hey, Guy. Wonderful to see you again. Amanda, so wonderful to
Hi,
meet you face to face
you
finally.
too.
Welcome, everybody. CJ, what's going on? What's up, Sandra and Wibka? I hope I'm saying that correctly. And Kelly, so excited to have you all. I know Thatcher is as well. We're gonna get everybody settled in here as we wait for people to join. We'll give them a minute or two. So as we all settle in. We'll be doing the introductions. You'll find out who I am, more about Thatcher. We'll have a really fun hour together. But before we start, as everyone settles in, I would love to know in the chat a little bit about yourself. So please share. We already know your name, so you don't need to say your name. But tell us something fun about yourself. And the question of the day is, what is your favorite activity that you like to do without your phone? And please put that in the chat, and we'll see what everybody's favorite thing to do is without their phone.
You should keep it
Uh,
PG, maybe. I don't know.
we're all adults here.
Yeah.
Let's make it
If you want.
NC-17 only. No, let's see what people put. Yeah, PG sounds good. All right, so I see the responses are coming in. This is great. We've got 11 people here, which is a solid number. I personally am so excited for this. I have Thatcher's book right here that I've been reading, and really excited for you all to hear from the man himself. Annie just ordered it today. Wow, that's
Awesome.
so cool.
Thank you, Annie.
Congratulations. Thatcher clearly knows what he's talking about, because his background is a library. That is when a Zoom background is a bookshelf, with 100% certainty they know exactly what they're talking about. It has never failed.
It is a good sign. Yeah.
Kelly, so great to see your face. All right, so let's see what the answers are here. For those of you who are joining us on Facebook or on YouTube, because we are streaming live as well, feel free to write in the comments live, or if you're watching the replay, comment replay. Is a great way to help this video be seen by others so that more people can enjoy what Thatcher is going to be teaching us today. And we get to see who's watching from the web. So for those of you who are here live with us, you're the VIPs for the day. We have Molly here, who's saying that yoga is her favorite thing to do without her phone. Annie says to be in nature, especially the sunshine. Amanda is hiking. Kelly is tennis or hiking. Guy says tennis too. That's so cool. I'm actually playing tennis for the first time in a long time this week, so I'm super excited about that. Skiing, Thatcher's skiing. That's cool. That's good to know. Laughter yoga. Wow, that sounds so interesting, Eric. And riding your bicycle and much more. CJ says yoga. Sandra, walking your dogs. That sounds fun. And Annie's favorite activity, I guess, is ordering your book.
Should do it every day. Yeah.
And doing that every day. And Wibka's is traveling and looking after your kids. That's really nice. So we've got some really nice overlap. We've got yoga, we've got hiking, we've got tennis, we've got skiing. All right, so I think this might be the group. If anybody does join in a bit, I'll try to let them in. But let's get started. So if you weren't already aware of this, we are actually going to have a giveaway at the end of this hour. This is going to be an action-packed hour. It's going to fly by. One of you, as a bonus for joining live, for showing up in the middle of the day, even though we're in this, pandemic Zoom fatigue world, you guys are here, showing up, being present. One of you is going to win Thatcher's book. You're going to get your own copy. So Annie, if it's you, maybe you can cancel the Amazon purchase or something.
No, don't cancel it. Give it. Find someone to give it to.
Yeah, you'll have an extra gift. Good point. Yeah, she says she'll give it to somebody. Great. And then everybody is going to actually win a special bonus from Thatcher that he was willing to share just for you all joining today. So, so grateful to have you here. And let's get started. So I see a lot of new faces, and I'll introduce myself, introduce Thatcher, and then he's basically going to take the floor and teach what this monotasking concept is and why we have such difficulties in life with our multitasking habits and our always on lifestyle. But before we do, we have a couple guidelines for these expert guest series and in general in the BRIC community. And these guidelines are just optional, but I definitely recommend you following them because you'll get the most out of it. The first one is to keep your camera on. So this allows us to feel like we are as close to in person as possible, that we are fully here present. We're seeing the faces, we're seeing the body language, we're seeing how present and attentive we are. It allows us to feel more connected to each other, which is, what one of our essential needs as humans. So obviously, if you're like driving or something, do this safely. Or if you have to run to the bathroom, obviously it's okay to turn your camera off. But if you are willing to do the uncomfortable thing and show your screen, that would be greatly appreciated. So thank you all who are already doing that. The second guideline is to turn off all distractions. So we are specifically here today to learn how to be more productive and be more focused and to do actually one thing at a time. So we get to use this experience itself as practice for being more focused. And so if you have your phone near you, please put that in Do Not Disturb. Your computer itself, you can also put in Do Not Disturb. And if you aren't familiar with how to do that, you can actually, if you're on a Mac, you can actually click on the top right, the 3 lines on the top right, and then scroll up and turn on Do Not Disturb. Fun little hack. And the third guideline is really just play full out. You guys are here. If you have questions, if something doesn't make sense to you, please ask. Raise your hand or type the question in the comments. If you have a question about something or something doesn't make sense to you, it probably doesn't make sense to somebody else either. So we want you to come out of this feeling like this is the most productive hour of your week. That's my goal. And so if you're willing to if you are willing to follow the guidelines, just type a 1 in the comments and we will get started. I see a 1. Excellent. Annie, Sandra, 111. Perfect. Awesome. Excellent. All right. So now that we are all here and ready to go, I'm just going to share a little bit about myself and BRIC, and then pass the torch over to Thatcher. For those, because I see some new faces, especially. My name is Tommy Sobel, and I'm the founder of BRIC. We have a few people joining us. And BRIC is a grassroots movement for people who are dissatisfied with their relationship with screens and social media. And I'm also a coach, and I work with founders and leaders and forward thinkers who are looking to reclaim their time and reach their goals faster and enjoy more time off. And so when Thatcher reached out to me through a mutual friend or mutual colleague, immediately his concept that he'd been working on for years, that he'd been researching and ended up putting into this book, really resonated with me because it's just so aligned with everything that BRIC is all about. That here we are feeling incredibly distractible and distracted, and maybe are busy all day, every day, but then going to bed still feeling unaccomplished or like there's way more to do, never feeling like we've done enough. And that's something that I personally have struggled with for a very long time before I became a coach and started working on changing these habits for myself. What's up, Alexa? Great to have you. And so Thatcher has created this incredible framework on how to think about this concept of monotasking. I had called it single tasking, but Thatcher has this really amazing perspective on it, and his book is doing so well, and so it's really great that we get to have him come in, share these gems with us here today, and so that's all the intro about myself. I feel like you all need. So Thatcher, feel free to take it away. And before we do, actually, what I'm going to do is, or actually, I'll put the links at the end. We've got a couple of links for you guys, but I'll put those in at the end.
Cool.
So let's all give Thatcher a round of claps or snaps,
Cool.
and feel free to take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Tommy. And Tommy, so we met a few months ago and virtually, in this pandemic era, but I really look forward to meeting in real life, maybe in Zion. And I should say single tasking and monotasking are pretty similar. One of my jokes is that if you're single and you're like on your phone and you can't put it down because you're using the apps because you're swiping all the time, maybe that's single tasking. So, but what we're going to talk about today is monotasking.
Got it.
I'm going to put my presentation up. Whoops. Okay, does everybody see that? Yes, okay, cool. And the cool animation of the book cover. So I'd love to talk for a little while about monotasking. And like Tommy said, it's an overall framework for how we can reclaim our attention, learn how to better resist distractions, get more done, and be more connected to real life and to the things that really matter. So we're going to talk about monotasking. Since this is an event all about monotasking, we're going to do one thing, and that's to talk about monotasking. But that can get a little bit boring if you're not used to it. So we're actually going to talk about multitasking too. So I'm going to diversify that. And I'm going to give CJ, who's on this call, a little credit. I came up with a few interactive questions and exercises. So has everybody played Put a Finger Down? Do you know how to do that? Where you like start with 10 fingers, and then if you've done the thing that I mentioned, then you take one away, and maybe you end up with none left.
I know it as Never Have I Ever. Is that right?
Okay.
Same game?
Yeah,
right?
Same thing. But yeah. So if you've got your video screen on, it'll be more fun. It's optional. Okay, ready? Everybody put their fingers up, 10 fingers up in the air. Wave them like you just don't care. Okay. All right, put a finger down.
Also, just a quick technical thing, if you don't mind. For those of you who aren't aware of this, because he's sharing his screen, there's actually a divider between each other's faces. Or actually, I'm going to unpin you so everybody can see this. You can actually move that divider over to the left so that we can see each other larger and the slideshow a little bit smaller, and then we can see everybody's fingers.
And I can take the slideshow off for this part too, if we want to do a bigger gallery view. Okay.
Whatever's best.
Okay. Let me see if I can. Whoops. Stop share. Okay. Is that a little better? A little bigger gallery view? Okay, cool. All right, everybody get your fingers up. All right, now put a finger down if you've listened to a podcast or audiobook while folding the laundry or doing other household chores. All right, almost everybody. All right, put a finger down. I'd be amazed if somebody hadn't done that. If you've been on your phone while watching a movie or a show on another device, like texting or Snapchatting, something like that, doing two things at one time. Everybody, not surprising. All right, number 3, you've had to ask someone to repeat what they said because you were thinking about something else or doing something else, and you're just like half listening. Never happened before, anybody? Okay. All right, number 4, your body has been in one place, but your mind has been in another. And you could think of the R-rated version of that if you want. And you're thinking about something else while you're supposed to be present with somebody who's very important to you. All right, I'm seeing a lot of 4 fingers down. Number 5, you've woken up in the middle of the night, and the next thing you knew, you're on your phone, Facebooking or doing something else. Couldn't go back to sleep. Not everybody. Okay, that's good. Number 6, you've looked at your phone while driving. Maybe you texted, maybe you just got a notification. Yep, we all do it. The next one's a little gross. You've used your phone in the bathroom. Most people these days like take their phone with them to the bathroom. It's just like habitual. All right, got 3 left here. Does anybody have 3 fingers left up? Yeah. You've scrolled through your phone while eating. You're just kind of mindlessly eating and looking through your phone over here. You're bored. You want to have something to do. All right, the last 2. You've caught yourself thinking about work while playing. Like people answer their favorite hobbies before, like yoga, skiing, tennis. Are you like thinking about all the things you have to do while you're supposed to be enjoying yourself? All right, some people have 1 finger left. You've sent an email or done other work while on a Zoom call. Hopefully not this one.
Definitely.
Yeah, so does anybody who has 0 fingers left? I've done all of those things. So we all do it. That's multitasking. It may not fit like the classic definition of multitasking, but it is multitasking. And let's see. All right, I think there's somebody in the waiting room telling me too.
I got
Here we go. Okay, cool. And okay, so we're back to the presentation. So thank you for playing the game and being honest. Like I said, we all do it. And why do we do it? Well, there's a lot of pressure in the world we live in. I love this cartoon. It says, while the duck appears to be calmly working from home, under the surface, it's frantically checking social media. People can probably relate to this. Like, we keep up these appearances in the world. We all have so much work to do. And then we have things we want to make it look like we're doing in our lives and everything's so great. And we want to check on our friends and like our posts and share our stories and all that. So this is the appearance that we try to keep up in the world. But the reality is that like very few people can actually multitask. So when we think we're doing more than one thing at a time, only 2% of the world can actually do 2 things with their brain, like cognitively, like work on that email you're working on right now while paying attention to this presentation. I'm joking. But most people can like fold the laundry while listening to a podcast. And that's totally harmless. That's background tasking and primary tasking. And we live in this like super distracting world, which is always asking for our attention at every possible turn. This is a photo of Times Square, super distracting place a few blocks from where I grew up. But it's kind of, a microcosm for the world. Just everybody's always asking us, look here, do this, pick up your phone, check that notification. And the reality is, like, especially when it comes to our work, that multitasking takes longer and leads to making more mistakes. All the studies have shown that. And if you think about how we've been taught over the past few decades to just like constantly be doing more work and take on more projects, and how there's a lot of like side hustle culture going on right now, like it all encourages us to do more and more. And the reality is that if we slow down and do one thing at a time, instead of trying to do everything all at the same time, we'll get more done. And we'll get better quality work done. We'll make fewer mistakes. People can probably relate to this, especially the last couple of years with everybody working from home. I guess all those people wouldn't be there at home, but this is what it feels like, whether those people are there or not. Like there's always more to do, and there are all these devices asking for attention. When we say that we're multitasking or we try to multitask, what we're actually doing is called task switching, unless we're in that 2% of people that can actually multitask. So task switching is when you do one thing, then you do another. So let's say it is being on a Zoom call, then doing a presentation, then writing an email, then calling a customer, or whatever you do for work. Our brains actually need time in between tasks to reset and to bring our full attention to something. And so if you think about how we let's say my kids walked in and I was talking to them, and then I came back to work, and then I had to do something else. There's a huge toll that's taken on our brains to really get back into what we were doing or get back into the next thing. And the studies have shown that it takes about 23 minutes on average for people to go from one thing to another. If you're trying to do that simultaneously, even if you're watching a movie and texting with a friend, like you can't process all of it or get back into the next task that quickly. So it causes a lot of stress that we don't even recognize where that stress is coming from. So just to recap, like, why do we multitask? Why do we do all those things that I asked, the questions about? One is because we have a lot to do. A lot of people are like, I have bills to pay. I have projects to complete. I want to further my career. So one response to having a lot of stuff to do is to do more at one time. Also in our culture, multitasking is encouraged and even glorified. Like there's a lot of talk about, oh, these celebrities and all the businesses they run and how they manage their social media while they're playing sports, and how they're taking on all these projects and side hustles, et cetera. So there's definitely a culture we live in that encourages people to do more at one time. And we kind of lift up on a pedestal the people who ostensibly can do it. The reality is, A, they may not be happy. B, they may have huge numbers of people doing things for them. I don't know if there's a C, but yeah, so I mean, it's not what we should be doing. And the other thing is that our devices make us think we're good at multitasking. That's how they're designed. Our phones like give us notifications and say, open this app and look at this communication. And they give us just enough feedback to make us think like we can do it. And they're designed in such a way that it's very slick. Like we think, oh, we can do this. Like I'm not the one that is in the 98% that can't multitask. I'm not the one who needs 23 minutes to reset. Like I'm just going to keep doing what my phone tells me to do, because it wouldn't tell me that I should do this if it was bad for me, would it? Well, that's the way phones are designed. And that's what the attention economy is really all about. Harvesting our attention for things that aren't necessarily good for us or that we don't need to do. So this is very much, the world we live in. If you step outside, everybody's on their phone, including the baby down on the lower left, sending a text or something. And people, yeah, the dog is on their phone too. So, it's just the reality of the world that we live in. And it's not going to get any easier for us to pay attention and resist our phones. Like the phone companies aren't going to make it easier for us. All the app companies, technology companies, et cetera. We have to learn how to resist distractions. The future is only going to be even more distracting than Times Square or than all these people on their phones. So we have to cultivate what I call monotasking muscles. And I'll get more into that in a minute. But what if the reason that we feel stressed out, burnt out, and overwhelmed is not from having too much to do and too many bills to pay and all that, but really from trying to do too much at one time? All under the guise of thinking that like, oh, we're going to get it done and then it'll be fine. Then we'll be able to relax. And what if the key to being more productive, creative, and successful is not to do more, and it's not to do less, but it's to do one thing at a time. It's to give our full attention to one thing at a time, to one person at a time, to one task at a time, to one place at a time. And that all those feelings of being stressed out and burnt out can be somewhat relieved if we're just live in the present moment. You don't have to do it 100% of the time, but at least to have the control to say, I'm going to do that now because this is important to me. And other times you can be like, I'm going to relax. I'm going to get on my phone. I'm going to multitask, but I'm going to make the choice myself. I'm not going to let Facebook make it for me. So a lot of my monotasking philosophy came out of being an entrepreneur and a creative. I run a company called Juniper Books, and we do some of these like crazy installations with books where we design and print these book covers that make up images that go across the shelves. We also make book sets like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and Jane Austen. We have a lot of fun with it. And I needed to be creative and keep up the output and keep up relationships with VIP customers and, provide great customer service as I was growing the company over the years. So part of my experiential philosophy really comes from what works and what doesn't work in my day-to-day life and for other entrepreneurs and creatives. I'm also a parent. 2 kids, they're 13 and 15. They're a little bit older than this picture here. But I want to be a really good parent, present parent, want to be around, for my kids' childhood and listen to them and give them attention and also be a good role model for how they can pay attention to the world. They've grown up, the only thing they know is phones and technology. So as I've seen them interact with their phones, it's become really important to me to figure out how can I help them really pay attention and accomplish their goals and not be buried in their phones all the time. The other thing that came up a few years ago is I went through cancer treatment. So I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and was on chemo for a few months. And this is a shot of me at the cancer center. And it was, I always feel weird saying it, but it was like super distracting to go through a life-threatening illness and a treatment that required my full attention while I wanted to be a good parent and while I wanted to run my company and be creative. So I had to think of how to, monotask my cancer treatment and then how to monotask my business and being a parent and really give each thing my full attention and test out a lot of the strategies that eventually, went into the book. And I'm happy to say that, I'm cancer free and all the monotasking works. Thank you. So I didn't just look at my life and my experience, but I also looked at like other successful people in the world, like Oprah Winfrey and Warren Buffett, and thought a lot about, how they have reputations as being, two of the biggest readers in the world. How do they have the time to read books? Why do they read books? Are they just like learning about businesses that they can create and, strategies for their companies? No, what I found is that the people who are the biggest readers have more control over their attention. Reading, not only like, do you learn something? Are you entertained? It's a great way to, provide, get entertainment in the world today and slow down, but it also like refreshes our ability to pay attention to one thing at a time. So when I started thinking about reading as being the ultimate monotask, something you can't do unless you do it with your full attention. And that's really the opposite of our phones these days. Our phones fragment our attention into ever smaller and smaller pieces. And books, especially printed books, consolidate our attention. They I don't know if anybody remembers the old computers where you had to defragment them. They're like these little like color lines that went across the screen as the computer's hard drive was like brought back together and its memory was improved. That's kind of like what reading does for our brains. So I looked at some role models in the world, what they do, and that essentially became the basis for the first chapter in the book about monotasking, called The Reading Monotask. And the fundamental premise of the book is that if you do these 12 things in the book, reading, listening, sleeping, getting there, which is all about, started as driving, but now it's much more about like traveling and commuting and all the ways that we get from one place to another and pay attention in the process. Teaching, learning, playing, seeing, eating, we talked a little bit about, put your finger down, creating, thinking, and walking. And that's walking with like your full attention, not taking pictures as you go along and listening to an audiobook or anything like that. So if you do these 12 things, you can do each of them really well. And they're all like things we do generally on a weekly basis. Some people do them all daily. But you'll be able to strengthen your attention while you do them. And you can carry that forth or back to your work. So sometimes the key to doing a great job on your work presentation is not to like sit there at your desk until you get it done. It's to go for a walk and to fully pay attention and be present on that walk. And you'll do a much better job when you get back to your desk. And so what's behind all of these is the idea of building your monotasking muscles. Same way that if you were training for a marathon, you'd go running more and more miles. If you were training to lift heavier weights, like you'd lift heavier and heavier weights. For some reason with attention, we all think that like, oh, well, if I do TikTok all day, why isn't that making me sharper and more focused? Like, it doesn't work that way. Like we actually have to train your ability to pay attention. And everything in the world we live in today is set up to fragment your attention. So I wanted to create a book and a whole philosophy that didn't require like going off, to some guru or some retreat or only doing this 2 weeks a year while you work really hard the other 50 weeks. I wanted this to be something that people could do anytime, any place, with any task. They could just say, I'm going to monotask this. I'm going to pay attention in this conversation I'm in right now. And that not only is going to make me a better listener, but I'm going to be able to listen better in all my conversations. And I'm going to be able to apply that at work when I talk to customers or to my boss. So the idea, once you strengthen your monotasking muscles, is that you can apply those muscles either at work, you could be more productive. At home, like getting rest is a really big part of the book. There's a whole chapter on sleeping. I think that, we're all so exhausted, especially after the last 2 years, that everybody needs more rest. And that if we get a good night's sleep and we really monotask that, both like setting up our house, our bedroom, when we eat, drink water, the lighting, all that, where our phone is in relationship to our bed, we'll get more sleep, and then we'll be able to do more the next day. In relationships, they're super important. So being more connected to our friends and our family and our partners, that comes from paying attention. There are a lot of problems that people have because one or both people are not paying attention to each other. And, multitasking can stick in your mind as like, oh, I remember when you were doing or thinking about something else and not paying attention to me, and it can cause real problems. We can apply our monotasking muscles to our hobbies. So I love to ski. I know some other people like yoga. I love yoga too, tennis, hiking, walking your dogs, you name it. Like if you do those things with your full attention, you will detach more from your work. You'll be much more relaxed and refreshed. And that's, I think, living a balanced life, really helps us for the long run. It's much more sustainable. And we can also make progress in our hobbies if that's part of our goal. And think less about work, like really create some separation between our work and our play, and also some separation between the present moment, like where we are right now, and maybe thinking about the past or thinking about the future. If we say like everything happens in the present moment right now, and I'm not going to crowd it out with lots of multitasking and devices, I'm going to pay attention, everything becomes much more enjoyable. And you can also apply your monotasking muscles to causes you care about. So if you volunteer, or you want to support a nonprofit or help mentor somebody else, like bringing your full attention to that can really help make a difference in the world. So now I have one more game to play. Is everybody ready? I'm going to leave the current view up because I can't multitask. It would take too long. I guess, yeah. Tommy, if you want,
there we go.
Yeah, if you wanted to do it. Okay.
Cool.
All right. So this is a game of would you rather. And I guess I'll ask the whole question first, and then you can put your hand up when I repeat it for which one you'd rather do. Would you rather look busy or actually get stuff done? So who would like to look busy? Nobody? I can only see like 6 of you. Who actually wants to get stuff done? Cool. 2 hands up. All right. Next question is, would you rather get more sleep or not miss out on that show everyone is talking about? All right. Would you rather get more sleep? Would you rather not miss out on the show that everyone's talking about? Binge watch it all night long. Okay. The next one is, would you rather truly hear everything in a conversation and become closer to your friends and family, or just go through the motions? You'd be like, yeah, okay. So would you rather truly hear everything or just go through the motions, pretend to be listening? Okay, well, everybody's getting all the right answers. Would you rather bump into something on the street because you're looking at your phone, or get to go where you're going safely? All right, would you rather bump into something on the street? Almost tricked you there. Or get to go where you're going safely?
These are very difficult questions. I'm having trouble deciding which one I like more.
All right. Too much gray area, huh? All right. Would you rather have the best meal of your life? This is a hard one for some people. Or would you rather get the best Instagram photo that you could get thousands of likes on? All right. Best meal of your life. Only you know about it, or maybe the people you're with. Or get an awesome food photo. Sorry, not me. The first one for me. Cool. 2 more. Would you rather learn something new every day or wait for the robots to take over and take care of everything for you? Like, Google GPS does for us, and Siri and everybody. Like, would you rather learn something new? Be a continuous learner? Cool. Robots, anyone? Algorithms? No? Okay.
If
Good
the robots
audience.
could learn for me, like Keanu in The Matrix, that would be great.
Oh, okay. While you monotask your sleep. All right. Would you rather be fully present where you are, like Zion National Park? Or would you rather always think about being somewhere else? So would you rather be fully present where you are, the
Present.
here, the now, wherever it is, even if it's terrible or beautiful? Does anybody like always want to be in a different place wherever they are? I can understand it sometimes, but okay, cool. Those are all my would you rather questions. Everybody gets a perfect score, I think. So the things to remember about multitask or monotasking and multitasking to a certain extent, the first is you always have a choice. Like the choice is yours about whether you multitask with partial attention. So you can bring your awareness to what you're doing and be like, I am only partially paying attention to this Zoom call because I just said I would be here and it's not really that important if I listen to everything. So maybe that's the choice you make. Or you can decide to monotask with your full attention. You can say like, my time is valuable. There's actually something to learn here. I'm going to monotask it. And you can make this choice. Like there's some times where it's going to be the end of the day after a long week and you're just going to be like, I'm going to sit on the couch, turn on the TV, have my dinner there, open my phone, because it doesn't matter and it's my choice. It's not like I got a notification from Mark Zuckerberg and he said that I should multitask, so therefore I'm going to do it. So always remember, like you can make this choice. You can do it anywhere you are with anything you're doing anytime. You don't have to do it 100% of the time. I always say like monotasking is not about achieving some level of like monotasking sainthood where like you never have to worry about getting distracted again. It's about this awareness. Like, am I multitasking or am I monotasking? Can I drop the 6 things that I'm doing and do one with my full attention? Great. And if you like do it well, your work goes better, your friendships are closer, people think you're a great listener, you have more fun, you get more rest, like keep doing it. That's the most important thing.
And I think,
Yeah,
Thatcher, if you don't mind me jumping in here, because I think
absolutely.
that what you're saying, this is such a key point here, at least for me, is that I'm just trying to make sure I can see everybody, is that I think, what he's saying here is that how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you are able to be fully present when you're doing something as simple as taking a walk, or as simple as thinking about something, then that creates these ripple effects to where you can then do one thing at a time in other things that are maybe much more important or more difficult to do. And so
Yep.
as you are considering, am I just going to be distracted, doing multiple things on TikTok all day, you are actually reinforcing that that's what's going to happen when you try to do these other important things. So by practicing monotasking, you are practicing being able to do one thing at a time, making that easier for you, strengthening that muscle. That's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Tommy. Yeah, and so the subtitle of the book is "Do One Thing at a Time to Do Everything Better," and it's not do only one thing at a time, like play tennis at one time to do everything better. It's like you can insert anything into that subtitle. Like I am going to monotask my social media. I mean, it can be done. Just recognize that, you have to strip away the multiple tasks. And I guess that's what this slide is about in order to get to the one thing. But then once you have the one thing, it strengthens that ability to pay attention in every other thing that you do. So in order to monotask really anything, bring that awareness to what you're doing at any given moment and take away the layers of tasks until there's one thing left. So you might be playing tennis while thinking about, something you have to do the next day. Just be like, take one of them away and play tennis. You may be at yoga thinking about, what happened earlier that day. Just focus on where you are, focus on your breath, things like that. In a lot of the media multitasking that we do is much more like obvious to everybody else in the world. So having your phone, your iPad, your TV, your computer screen, all that going at one time, like that's very clearly distracting us in so many different ways. And so shutting those all off, putting the computer on do not disturb, like there are very practical ways that we could minimize those distractions. The more you do it, the easier it becomes too. The reason it's hard right now is because none of us have been training for this. We've all been like rushing in the other direction towards multitasking and being distracted all the time. So if you bring your focus to the one thing that you've decided I'm going to spend my time on, do it well, do it the best you can, whatever it is. It could be completely random and meaningless. You could be talking to someone you don't even like just give them your full attention and listen to them, because that, like, listening will help you in other parts of life, even if you never talk to that person again. So when you finish whatever you're doing, take a break before moving on to the next task. So that gets back to that 23 minutes stat. It takes a long time for our brains to reset and get into the next task. You're going to lose those 23 minutes anyway, with your brain like being like, okay, what am I working on next? How do I give it my full attention? Go for a walk, do something fun, take a nap, like give yourself, like, use that opportunity to monotask something else in some cases if you can, and then repeat from the top. I have a few links here, but Tommy has them too, so we could just go to yours. But this concludes the portion of my presentation.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Thatcher. Yeah, we are going to put the links so that you can all get a copy of the book if you want, or follow Thatcher on Instagram and get more tips and tools from him. But let's give it up for Thatcher for teaching us about monotasking. Some snaps.
Thank you.
I like to do the shaka, but it doesn't make noise, so I'll opt for snaps.
California.
Yeah. So I think, you know, what's such a great reminder for many of us, because I know, like, Guy here, he's basically an expert in this as much as the rest of us, and Eric as well, and I know Amanda's been working in this space for a while, working on her habits. Annie's a coach as well. We're all here, I think, not just to learn these healthy practices for ourselves, but also so that we can make a positive impact on others around us as well. And I think that it's easy for us to know what the right thing to do is. To, you know, obviously we know that focusing on one thing at a time is better than feeling scattered or distracted. But I think that doing it is a completely different thing. And especially if we're going to be espousing these, you know, monotasking, the benefits of monotasking in our lives to others, to the people that we make an impact on, I think that it's important for us to acknowledge the difficulty of that. It's simple, but not necessarily easy. And so what I think is so great about what you've just taught us, and maybe even just reminded us, is that that we can make it. It might not be easy, but that we can make it as simple as possible. That if we can take anything that we do and treat that as an intentional, I'm going to do this one thing at a time. Every single moment of our day gets to be a mindful moment where we're training this muscle. Every single thing that we're doing, every single Zoom session, every single time we go to the bathroom, every single time we walk to pick up our mail, can be an intentional moment where we are actually strengthening our monotasking muscle. And I think that that's something that I often forget, and is much easier said than done. But you know, it's something I'm definitely going to be taking away here as well, knowing that that's going to be as hard, as the most difficult that is ever going to be is in the beginning. And as we continue to practice this, it will actually start to become more habitual, until a month from now, it's like, wait, I'm always fully present when I'm on the phone or when I'm taking my kids, you know, to school. So thank you so much for sharing this and making it so clear and so simple. Now's a great time for us to open it up to any questions. So I know that there was a few questions that people emailed. So we'll start with those. Amanda, if you don't mind answering some questions, Thatcher. Amanda asked if you have any ideas about email batching or times to check email per day, so that you can be better at monotasking that. Do you have any thoughts on email checking?
I do. So different things work for different people. So I'll preface it by saying that. And I think the monotasking philosophy overall, you can think of almost everything as having two parts. You're not only monotasking your email in this case, but you're also planning ahead to, like set aside the time to do the batching. And you're also thinking afterwards, like, did that work for me? There's a whole book written about this, but inbox zero or whatever, like, but it doesn't work for me. So I'm going to try something else. So like just some of the like self-observation about experimenting and seeing what works, and then how you feel about it. Like, did it create more stress or less stress? Were you more productive or less productive? Those have been helpful to me. I personally have tried setting aside times and like turning off my email, and it just doesn't work. So I do generally try to, I do email in batches, just not at the same time every day. I basically look more at my overall to-do list and work my way through that, and then get to the emails as either at the beginning or in the middle or at the end, like depending on the other things going on. But I try when I like have to do a presentation or give a talk, or read something, or give my creative team some feedback on design, like to just do that. And they've gotten used to not hearing from me for hours or days, which I realize is a luxury that not everybody has. But sometimes if you just set the expectations that like, I'm going to give your email my full attention, but it's not going to be until tomorrow afternoon. But you're going to get a very thoughtful, intentional response from me at that time. I found that that's, can be very helpful.
So I think what you're saying, Thatcher, is that instead of scheduling a specific time of day, which is something that you could do, it sounds like what you do is you have your like list of priorities for the day, or your to-dos, and emailing is one of them, but you have it prioritized in a way where sometimes that email is the first thing that you do and it's the priority, or other times it's number 5 because you have to get a presentation out or something. So you have a plan, and what the way you schedule it is by following that plan. Is that right, or is that close?
Yeah, I would say that's accurate. And I think email gets a lot of attention these days. It's like, that's the first thing I have to do every day. And then that sets an expectation with everybody else that like, oh, if I send an email, I'll get a response right away. And everybody's just like trying to keep up with everybody. But I don't think it has to be that way for every single person. And yeah, so that's an accurate way to describe how I do it. And that does work for me.
Awesome. Amanda, did that answer your question? Do you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, no, that was helpful. There was some tips in there I hadn't thought of, so
Awesome.
appreciate it.
Any other questions for Thatcher while we have him here related to monotasking?
I actually have one. Thatcher, what's your opinion on music? So I understand if it has lyrics, but I listen to a lot of like instrumental while studying and doing things. Do you think what are your thoughts on that?
So I love music, and I pretty much like always wear these headphones at my desk. Sometimes they have music going, sometimes they're just kind of a cue to me to like, now's the time to focus. And if I do have music going while I'm working on something, it's usually instrumental as well. So just like piano or classical or something. So I think, again, it's like different things work for different people, and you have to figure out what works for you. I look at music as like, does it shift your mood or your focus to what you need it to be? So like if you were going to the gym and you want to like get all amped up, then you'd put on some really loud music, and you'd be able to monotask what you're doing there with the assistance of the music. The music would just be a background task. So, I'd say like if it works for you, keep doing it. If at some point you're like, oh, I can't even focus with the classical music on, or when I try to listen to some folk songs with lyrics, like I can't pay attention, then change it. Because again, like anything you figure out is not necessarily going to work forever. And so give yourself permission to like evolve and change it. And just because something works for somebody else, like, I have friends who love going to busy coffee shops to get stuff done. It's like, that doesn't work for me. So I'll just end up talking to everybody, not getting anything done. So, just because something works for somebody else or something worked for you doesn't mean you have to do it forever. Like really, and I think the monotasking will help you be more in tune with that and observing, where you find your best focus and get your best work done.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Tommy
thanks,
actually has a playlist on Spotify if anyone wants to do it. I think it's called Phone Smart.
Nice. Okay.
I do. Thank you for the plug, Annie. We have it's basically binaural beats that entrain your brain for focus, and it's something that I've used for years, and now Annie's in the brick community and one of my clients, and so having having more people, other people have started to use the playlist as well and getting great results. So if anybody wants that, maybe put it in the chat and I can send the link.
Cool.
Any other questions? I keep looking at Alexa thinking that banana is a hand raise.
It's not. Can I ask a question that I feels like this is the obvious answer? I mean, what's the proper term? I struggle with, ADHD and those types of things. Would you say monotasking is like perfect for people that struggle with that? I mean, it sounds like an obvious yes, but I feel like it makes it a lot more difficult because of the way my brain is wired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
curious if you've done any like research on that, or like if that's any part of your book or anything.
So I've done some research on it. I had several readers of the early manuscripts like read the book from that perspective, the ADHD perspective, and like neurodivergent readers. And so I don't, since I'm not a neuroscientist or psychologist or any of those, an academic or any of those things, it's a very experiential book. Like I didn't use the ADHD language throughout the book, but what I found and that the community has validated is that, most of the tips about how to pay attention can be applied for people with ADHD. Because the world we live in, like it's distracting to 100% of people, whether or not, they have, other, things that they're working with. And so I think it can only be helpful and not distracting or harmful. And again, like 100% of the tips are not going to work for everybody, whether or not they have ADHD. So, I'd love to hear from you if you find, tips in there that do work for you and particularly resonate with, being more productive or listening and things like that.
Cool. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Amazing. All right. So I think we might have time for for maybe one more question. But while you think about if you want to ask a question or do ask the question, I would love for everybody to just share in the chat, what is your biggest insight or takeaway from this session? What's one thing that you got out of this session that you're going to take into your daily life? Because we're here learning not just to get information, but to have transformation. How can we take this concept of monotasking and make our lives more focused or more productive? So what's your biggest takeaway? And while you all are writing that, I am actually going to add a few links here myself. So Thatcher has offered so nicely for everybody who has attended this session and who is watching the replay to actually get 20% off of the book. So I'm gonna put that link here. You can get it on his actual business's website because he is also at Juniper Books itself, which is his company. You can buy the book at a 20% discount exclusive to the Brick community. So the link is there. The code is BRICK20. Now, one of you that are here is actually going to win the book for free. So maybe click that link for later, just in case you don't win. And then also what Thatcher has is the opportunity to get a signed copy. So now that we're all friends here, you can maybe get a signed copy or give that as a gift and say, I know this guy, I can I've got his bat line if you want to ask him any more updated questions. So there's the link for that as well. And then he's also on Instagram. I'm giving you all the plugs, Thatcher. So if you guys want to follow, him, on Instagram. He's got lots of really great tips and tricks on his monotasking Instagram and then his personal as well. So feel free to click those links before we close up. I also, before we do the giveaway and maybe answer one more question, we have one announcement from Brick, which I forgot to mention in the beginning, but we have our next retreat coming up, our next phone-free retreat for leaders and founders. And raise your hand, is anybody here coming on that retreat? Annie will be there. Okay, that's a trick question. I knew you were coming. But yeah, so that is coming up at the end of March. It's in about 5 weeks. It is March 24th to the 27th. This is our only phone-free retreat. This is our only retreat in the United States this entire year. So if you are thinking of being a part of the Brick community and getting off the grid and reclaiming your time, surrounded by a bunch of other humble high achievers, maybe Thatcher will join as well, and we'll get to have an amazing experience together. And I'll be leading some workshops and meditations on how to get clarity on your vision and break through the bottlenecks that have been getting in the way. So if you want to learn more about the Zion retreat, we have 16 people confirmed and about 10 spots left. So if you're interested, I definitely suggest you clicking that link. And you can also email me or reach out anytime you reach me if you have any questions. So let's go to some of the takeaways here. So Amanda says that the idea that maybe we're not burned out because we have too much to do, but because we're trying to do it all at once. Yeah, that was a big takeaway for me as well. Huge perspective shift. Alexis says, just the concept of developing monotasking muscles. Never thought of that, and I see how doing it in one area can help another. That's amazing. I do think that's the core message here. Annie says, I can't wait to teach my clients about monotasking at work, to be more productive at home. Being at work equals being more productive, and at home equals getting more rest, which is really focusing on what you gain. And Wibka says that there are many ways to practice monotasking and that we need to practice. Yeah, that it is a practice. It's kind of like going to the gym. You're not going to get physically fit by going to the gym once, and you're not going to be, nutritionally healthy by eating an apple once. Like, it requires a practice. And so by practicing monotasking, we get to build that muscle that, it's literally a muscle. I mean, not literally, but in neurodynamically, neurologically, there is like a habit that you form where you can then be more focused and deliberate with your attention by practicing it. CJ says, it is my choice to monotask. I want to be more creative and productive, and monotasking gets me there. Eric says only 2% of the people on the planet are super taskers. Yep. And Annie says, if you watch the Q&A on the Zion trip, it'll blow your mind. That's a cool takeaway. So unusual takeaway. This is about monotasking. This is not really about Zion. Okay, focus here. Let's monotask on to monotasking. Okay, Sandra says, last one, a reminder that my energy, my attention is my choice, and I can practice doing one thing at a time to be more satisfied in my professional and personal life. Excellent. You guys get it. So that is our session. We're going to end in just a moment with the final game. And the way this is going to work is one of you is going to win this book, Thatcher's book that we've been talking about, for free. And here's how it's going to work. You might not know this, but you are psychic. Everybody here is psychic. And to prove that you are psychic, I am going to say a color that I am holding in my hand, and whoever says the correct color first is going to win the book. So does anybody have any questions about that? Does that make sense? Yeah? I'm not seeing any responses. Does that make sense? Yes? Nodding your heads? Okay. All right. So I am now officially holding something in my hand that is as a specific color. Feel free to unmute yourselves, and whoever says the correct color first gets to prove they're the most psychic in this moment, and they win the free book. What is it?
Red.
Green.
Green. Who said green? Amanda. Let's give it up for
Yay.
Amanda.
Awesome.
Amanda wins. Congratulations, Amanda.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. That
Right.
is our session.
Yeah, I
Thatcher.
can mail the book to Amanda, right? If you give your
Yes,
address to
please.
Tommy or something.
Okay.
And I'm like for all the books that are ordered from Juniper Books and in your copy, if anybody wants me to inscribe them to you personally, just like when you order the book, tell me your name and be like, please make it out to Amanda. And I'm happy to accommodate that. And then I will monotask inscribing your book and shipping it.
Thank you.
My
Thanks
full
much.
attention. Yep.
Thatcher, thank you so much
Yeah, thanks,
for
Tommy.
being
Thanks,
here,
everyone.
sharing this presentation with us. I know that your time is very deliberate, and that you do only one thing at a time. And so we're very grateful for you to spend a part of your day with us, and so grateful for you all for joining. And I'll see you soon, hopefully. All my best. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. It was a pleasure.
Bye, everybody.